So new evidence has been coming out on this on the Orlando shootings, and the guy may have been gay himself, or he may have just been casing some of these places that he was frequenting. So it's all it's all in the air in terms of who this guy actually was and what he was actually doing. I know he was married, he had a wife, he had he visited his dad 12 hours before he ended up in Orlando shooting up a whole bunch of gay people. Or at least, that's the way the story's kind of unfolding. So in that little mess of identity and who he might have been and who he might not have been, I think I want to kind of emphasize the point that, religious identity and sexual identity are, I would argue, two very different things. I don't see religious identity as something inherent in a person. I'm sort of, and there are those that would argue, but I'm kind of an example of that. Like, I was born into a Muslim family, but I didn't, at this point in my life, I have no following with Islam whatsoever, or to Islam whatsoever, and no following to any other religion for that matter, but I'm surrounded by it. Like, I live in Canada, so it's a pretty secular country, but I'm surrounded by all sorts of religion, but I don't follow any of them. So, what I'm trying to put across here is that religion is something that's a little more loosely tied to your identity than, sexual orientation. I would say that sexual orientation is actually much more ingrained than something I would go as far as to say even genetic. And it really does, it really does hit at the core of a person's identity. And I know these words are always kind of wishy-washy, and you can kind of move them around and wiggle them and change them to mean different things in different contexts. But I think anybody watching this would know what I'm saying, or maybe not. I mean, but there's a definite kind of traction that sexual orientation, and along the spectrum of sexuality, that is much more tied to a person's being as opposed to a religion, which can shift, or somebody can convert or move in and out or go back and forth with religion. And that being said, I'd also like to say that kind of to reiterate an atheist perspective, that religion should be open to criticism as much as politics. There's no reason why it shouldn't be, but you get a lot of backlash for criticizing religion. In fact, there's some real crazy high-end tiptoeing that goes on around religion that you would never see in politics. I mean, in politics you get people with bloody noses and people swearing and going on. I mean, politics is a nasty game, and they generally get, not all the time, but I mean, there's generally an openness to criticality. That's what democracy is, right? Religion, which imposes itself as, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, this sort of fascistic sort of influence on people's lives. I mean, in a more secular society, it doesn't come across as so fascistic. But if you so do believe, it's a very without arguing, it's pretty much a top-down sort of thing. The top guy being, the creator of the known universe. So how can you argue with that? Anyway, that's my video. Talk to you later. Bye.